The president's former press secretary, who just last month officially joined the Obama re-election campaign as a top advisor, Robert Gibbs. Welcome back to This Week.
Thank you, Jake. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks. So I want to get your reaction to this comment from Rick Santorum in Columbus, Ohio over the weekend. They're beating up each other, but they're also beating up President Obama quite a bit. And this is what Santorum had to say about the president's, quote, different theology.
This is what the president's agenda is. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about your quality of life. It's not about your jobs. It's about some phony ideal, some phony theology. Oh, not a theology based on the Bible, a different theology.
Pressed by reporters as to what exactly he meant, Santorum said the president is, quote, imposing his secular values on the church, and I think that's wrong. Your reaction?
Well, look, Jake, I think it is time in our politics in which we get rid of this mindset that if we disagree, we have to disqualify each other. That if we, not just on political positions, but we question character and faith. It's
Do you think he was questioning his faith?
I can't help but think that those remarks are well over the line. It's wrong, it's destructive, it makes it virtually impossible to solve the problems that we all face together as Americans. People are not sitting at home this morning, Jake, thinking we need more of this in our politics or our public discourse. It's time to get rid of this. It's time to have a debate on our political positions, but not question each other's character and faith.
Now, Rick Santorum denies that he was dog whistling about the president's faith, suggesting that the president is anything other than a Christian. You don't necessarily believe that.
Jake, I think that if you make comments like that, you make comments that are well over the line. I think this GOP primary is, in many cases, Jake, has been a race to the bottom. We have seen nastiness, divisiveness, ugliness, distortions of opponents' records, of the president's records. You just heard John McCain say it. It's affecting their standing, their own candidate standing with the American people. We see it in their turnout numbers. Fewer and fewer Republicans are coming out to even participate in the process of nominating somebody to run against President Obama. But I think, more importantly, Jake, it's just time to get rid of this mindset in our politics. That if we disagree, we have to question character and faith. Those days have long passed in our politics. Our problems and our challenges are far too great. The challenges that we face in the middle class through economic fairness and security is what we should be focusing on. It's what the president is focusing on each and every day.
Let's talk about one of those issues having to do with the economy. Oil is now over $100 a barrel. It's on the front page of the New York Times this morning. High gas prices give GOP issue to attack Obama. And here's an AP story from this weekend. Quote, gasoline prices have never been higher this time of the year at $3.53 a gallon. Prices are already up 25 cents since January 1st, and experts say they could reach a record $4.25 a gallon by late April. And here is Santorum again blaming the president for this.
You have a president who, in my opinion, sees that energy consumption in America is a problem, not a good. That we need to have less energy consumption, and one way to do that is to make energy prices higher. His policies have done everything they can to slow down energy production.
That's the Republican attack. That's what we're going to hear probably for the next few months, if not all the way until November. Your reaction?
Well, look, it's clear that Rick Santorum and none of the Republican candidates saw the president talk in the State of the Union about an all-of-the-above energy policy. Just on Friday, the Department of Interior issued permits that will expand our exploration in the Arctic. The president has increased our fuel efficiency and our energy efficiency standards, so we do use less energy, which will help drive down the price. Our domestic oil production is at an 8-year high, and our use of foreign oil is at a 16-year low. So we're making progress. There are no magic bullets to solve this problem. We're going to have to do all of these things. We're going to have to look for more energy here at home. We're going to have to conserve energy. We're going to have to make the energy we use more efficient. All of those things will help us get ahead of this problem.
The president got something of a political victory this week when the House and Senate came to an agreement on the payroll tax extension. But it's not paid for, the $100 billion. So that payroll tax money will not be paid into the Social Security Trust Fund. One member of the president's own party called this bill a devil's deal and went on to say this.
I'm dismayed that Democrats including a Democratic president and a Democratic vice president, have proposed this and are willing to sign off on a deal that could begin the unraveling of Social Security.
That's quite an ad against the president's reelection campaign from Democratic Senator Tom Harkin. Is this the unraveling of Social Security?
No, I strongly disagree with that characterization. This does not in any way threaten the livelihood of Social Security.
$100 billion is not going into the trust fund.
What it does do is help our economy get stronger at a time in which middle-class families, we know, continue, Jake, to struggle greatly with the high cost of living these days. And I think it was an important step, and I'm glad that Republicans in Congress accepted the president's position that we can't raise taxes on the middle class right now. It was an important step. It will help continue our economic recovery, and it in no way threatens the livelihood of Social Security.
The president's chief of staff, Jack Lew, came on the show last week and told George Stephanopoulos he admitted that the president's budget does not meet the president's pledge from early 2009 to cut the deficit in half. The White House says now that it didn't know then, when the president made the pledge, that the economy was in such bad shape he wouldn't be able to meet it. But he was continuing to make that pledge as recently as 2011.
When I took office, I pledged to cut the deficit in half by the end of my first term. Our budget meets that pledge and puts us on a path to pay for what we spend by the middle of the decade.
I believe you were there at the time. You guys didn't know?
That was the second day I was gone. But
Is that right?
I will not.
Is that true? Okay,
I won't quibble with the date of whether I was there on the 15th or the 11th. But I will.
But the
say,
White House knew how deep the hole was then.
But Jake, I don't think anybody had, on either side of the political spectrum, had a real sense of not just how deep this was, but how long this economic recovery would take. And quite frankly, Jake, we've made some good progress, but it's going to take some more time to get out of that hole. Let's be clear, though. The president does have a budget that puts in place some substantial budget savings going forward. I think the pledge the president made there, if you extend that probably another year, he'll meet that goal. The best thing we can do for our budget deficit right now is to get our economy going even faster than it is right now. And I think one of the things that we're going to debate throughout this presidential election is a $1 trillion driver in our debts and our deficit is extending tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. We're going to have that debate in this race. And if we want to make some serious progress on our budget deficit, then let's not extend tax breaks for people that don't really need them.
Very quickly, we have about 20 seconds left. Nancy Pelosi came out and said she supports a plank in the Democratic Party's official platform that would say, quote, "We support the full inclusion of all families in the life of our nation with equal respect, responsibilities, and protections under the law, including the freedom to marry." I know the president says he's, quote unquote, still evolving on this issue. Will there be a same-sex marriage plank in the Democratic Party platform this summer?
Jake, I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know, I haven't talked to the president at all recently on this issue. I think we all look to and want to live in a world where if you're applying for a job or doing anything, you're not judged or on your sexual orientation. You shouldn't be. And I think living in a society where that doesn't happen is a society we all want to live in.
Robert Gibbs, thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate it.